Dude, grip on your money maker. Alright, just kidding. My bad. That was a Drake lyric. That wasn't. I don't actually want to on anyone's money maker. I don't even know what that means. Alright. So this is day 2 of us writing every day. Yeah, day 2 was hard, of course, because honestly, it was, of course, it's a lot easier to plan out, right? I've never written a book. I really don't know anything about writing a book. I tried to watch a few YouTube videos about writing a book, and they they kind of all said the same thing, of course, which is like plan. There's people that plan it out. There's people that write. Um, they're, they're just talking about like the different types of individuals. So I guess like one of my learning points of writing and planning out. I mentioned last time that it I've been thinking about writing this for like 4 years. Now that's not like, of course, not like every day. It's just when I had time or when it like crossed my mind. I was like, yeah, man, that's such a good story beat, such a good portion. Blah blah blah. Like I really like that, and I'll think like, yeah, I'll write that down. So like I'll write it down and I'll be like, yeah, you know what? Eventually, maybe this will all kind of coalesce to some kind of greater story and all makes sense. Um, it didn't. I did have a lot of like similar ideas that could have like joined up together, and then as I like put them down, I could start kind of stringing a story along. But um, what I learned from all this is that even though I could do that, I think that also takes a lot of skill to write um, certain pieces and then connect certain pieces together, even though they're like different ideas, and just make them like connect. I think they call that like gardening. I don't really remember what they call the types of writers, but I think people aren't like you can't really be boxed under one thing. I think once you start writing, you'll realize that yeah, certain parts of it I want to plan out, but then other parts I want to just write. Um, what I learned about myself is that I do enjoy the thought process of kind of just like world building, theater crafting, because I think it reminds me a lot of video games and how I like the type of games that I like to play, which is the stuff that where you can have different builds. You're not locked into something. It's more open. Like the game itself might not be like an open-ended game, but your character and your character progression is usually pretty open-ended, and you can decide like how you want to build that character, and you can career craft. And I think that's why I really thoroughly enjoy that portion of creating a book, because it reminds me a lot of theory crafting, where you can be like, yeah, this character would be super sick if it had this, this power, this weapon, this backstory, and then if their enemy was like this individual, this would be super cool. Like you kind of get lost in that, and it's really easy to get lost in that thought process and just continuously just keep making story beats and not actually write. And what I learned is that I need to write. I'm not a writer. I don't know how to write. I'm not a good writer. Like I said before, I don't profess a great or fantastic writer. I profess to be a student who wants to learn how to be a writer. Oh my god, I dropped the mic, bro. So you guys probably barely heard anything that I just said there. That's okay. So essentially, I'm just saying that I want to be a good writer, and to be a good writer, you need to practice, right? And to practice, you gotta have something to write about. You need to have like an idea, and I think that's where that theory crafting really paid off all those years. I have a lot of story beats that I need to write on, but then I feel like I've kind of regressed back, because prior to this, when I first started thinking about story beats, I was always like super slow at like the first year or so. The story beats didn't really come in. It was just like, oh yeah, this character would be so sick, this power would be so sick, this concept would be so sick, and then slowly I started getting better, started expanding it upon it in my head, and I started like actually adding certain things that could progress that story, or could jump from, all right, how did she get that power? I always had like questions about these characters, that are I'm thinking about in my head. But as we progressed through that over the years, and I was able to write some of them down, I started thinking more on, how do I actually write this? Like, what does this look like? And I do read. Prior to this, I would say that, like, prior to this year, I would usually read around 4 or 5 books, not too many books. And then before that, like in 2022, 2021, 2019, I did have like a period where I read like 10 books, but not many books. This year, I've only read 3. No. I think I almost read 6. I'm reading 2 right now, so those would be like 7 and 8. But I've been reading a lot more, and I'm starting to see like how these authors place their kind of structure, their prose, I guess, and how they design it. I think it's cool to see that type of stuff and to really just break down someone's potential process. Like, you're not really gonna know. Like, I've tried to look. I think I've seen like Brandon Sanderson, but he doesn't even really break down his stuff. I think he does now, but the videos that I've been watching is really just like his course that he teaches on for his like classes that he, that's very generalized and very structured. But I think writing is you can look up as much as you want, and you can do this for anything really, like even painting and drawing. You can look up all the techniques and all that stuff, but you're really not gonna know what you like until you start doing them. And that's why 4 months ago, 5 months ago, 6 months ago, I don't know, beginning of this year, I guess that's 8 months ago now. I started writing, but I would do like 1-pagers, and I would mix up whether it's, I'm communicating in first person, third person, or third person limited, first person limited, whatever the case is. I would kind of mix them up and see how I like to write. And you can really see where I kind of struggle, especially like in the narration. I want this to become a drawable, like manga-esque type thing, and doing like a hybrid thing. Like, that's gonna be like the super end game for this book, is to convert it to a manga. And that's why Alexis is kind of learning, not learning, but like becoming better at drawing, and I need to start learning how to draw, like become like her apprentice, and hopefully help her out in drawing this manga, because I know she wants to do her own in the next few years. That's what we're essentially going to be doing. But I'm going to continue writing, and it's going to be, I'm not going to lie to you guys. Excuse me. I'm not going to lie to you. It's going to be rough for, I'm going to say the next 2 years, it's going to be rough, right? That is going to be 700 days, and that's probably going to be like 500 pages, 400, that's like 300 to 500 pages, because I want to write every day, but I don't think I'm going to write every day for the foreseeable future. I just want to write like when I can, and right now I'm like trying to make like a structure and post these, and there's just a lot of things that's going on besides just writing, and of course like I still have to work. So in the next like year or two, as we progress through YouTube, as we like try to grow on YouTube, you'll start to see certain things slowly climb up. And once we kind of get to the point where I can quit my job, like in, I don't know, I think I can quit my job in like 3 or 4 years. But once we get to that portion, hopefully we'll go into hyperdrive on like writing, and we'll free up those 8 hours, and we'll go into like hyperdrive and drawing and like creating more content. But writing now is fun, it's therapeutic. I'm doing kind of 2 pages, one that's just like practicing, and then one that's actually the book. I'm gonna just continue that for as long as I can, and see where we land in the next 2 years. But yeah, I'm definitely, I wouldn't say like I'm having fun. I wouldn't say I'm not having fun either. It's just, it's very taxing to write, and to try and be good, and to not be embarrassed, and to not be, like to not talk myself out of it, right? Like I think that's one of my main problems with anything that I do is that I'll progress through it, but I'll never master it, and I'll talk myself out of anything. Like it doesn't matter what it is, I'll just talk myself out of it, and that's like something that I'm working on. Um, I'm working on just pushing through and actually doing what I say I want to do. That's why like I'm painting more, I'm streaming more, I'm writing more. Haven't started drawing yet, but also making progress in like in Korean language. I know that's like something that we kind of stopped, and we also did stop this writing thing. But I'm really excited because I do have a lot of plans, not just on this writing, but also for YouTube. And I know I've kind of rambled here for the past 10 minutes, and you kind of, I don't know if like you guys want to see what I'm writing, but hopefully this just makes my communication better. I start getting a little more structured. Like I said, I'm going to start writing a YouTube video. What was it called? I don't even know what this is called, but the script. I'm going to start writing scripts for videos so I don't ramble as much, but I still do want to incorporate rambling and free speech. Not like to not that type of free speech, like where I would censor myself, but more of so like free form speech, where I kind of just communicate my thought and let my word salad, jumble itself up until eventually you can only really mess up for so long, right? At some point, even the unluckiest person is gonna get lucky, and that's how I feel about getting better at things. I feel like it's very hard to get to get worse at something. And the more you practice, the more you kind of elevate. And of course there is like bad practice, but that's just something that you can pivot out of eventually. But you weren't gonna know that was bad practice unless you actually practice that. So it's still not a wasted effort. So yeah, enough rambling. Let's the next 15 minutes kind of pull through. And for my children, guys, this is me at my, I don't want to say worst, but this is definitely me at the beginning. This is your mom at the beginning. We weren't always as good as we are now. If you're watching this in the future, I'm talking about the future state here, but I thoroughly believe that no matter what you guys want to do for your life, as long as you try and make an effort, you're never gonna fail. And any effort that you put towards something that you thought you might like and you end up not liking is never wasted effort, because now you realize this isn't what I want to do. Let's pivot. Never be afraid to pivot. Never be afraid to be wrong. Never be afraid to go the wrong way, because with whatever knowledge you have at that moment, you decided that based on what you've learned about yourself, about the environment, about the situation, and you're making the best choice with whatever knowledge that you had on hand. And if you learn later on while you're doing something that it's not for you, or it's not going to work out, or whatever the case is, then pivot. Right? Don't be afraid to pivot. There's not enough time to be scared to pivot, to be scared to try, to be scared to do something. There's just not enough time. And I wouldn't be where I am right now as you know me if I didn't go through this process of being dog shit at everything that I do. And if this is me at my worst, then I cannot wait to see me at my best. Because this shit is absolutely fire. You don't see the vision right now, but this shit is fire. Thanks for watching. I love you guys. Besos.